Hey guys, welcome to WAM. We're on episode 35, and today we're going to be talking about the Fallout TV show. This is our first time talking about a TV show, but me and Nick were really big Fallout fans, so we
Mm.
thought it'd be really cool to talk about this. And to start us off, talking about episode 35, there's a weird coincidence when we talk about Vault 35. Do you know that one?
No, I don't. What's going on in Vault 35?
So Vault 35 is one of them from Fallout New Vegas, and basically the experiment in Vault 35 is we're going to fill a vault full of violent comics, violent movies, and violent video games. Like they'll be released after 100 years, and we'll see what happens to them.
Oh, the boomers?
I don't know if these are the boomers. The wiki on this is
They had
very limited.
weapons. The
Mm.
boomers, they were in a vault and they got given weapons and then but they were like, "We weren't allowed to fire off the weapons, so we went to the surface."
That's
Something like
funny.
that. But
Um,
yeah.
in this, basically they had basically no effect overall as to what happened. And when they were finally released, like after 100 years, they're like, you know what, we'll stay inside. But then one guy who got really into all those comics killed all of them. And then he decided, I think I'm just going to live inside the vault for the rest of my life. And if anybody comes into my vault, I'll kill them.
Oh, the experiments we get into in the show here that we see are pretty bad. Um
Mhm.
but we can kind of get into that later when we cover some of the vaults. But
Mhm.
for our overall, video game adaptation into a TV show, I think they did very well so far. But you want to
Mhm.
kind of run through the plot really quick of what we're worrying about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are put into the world of Fallout, which takes place 200 years after a nuclear apocalypse. We are in specifically Los Angeles, and we're following three characters. Lucy, who lives inside of a vault, which is like just one of the many areas that
A
sought
deep
out.
underground bunker that has everything you need to survive for like generations.
Yeah. And then we have Maximus, who is a squire in the Brotherhood of Steel, which is what the United States military turned into after the bombs fell. It's a organization that prides itself on trying to be the future of America by reclaiming old war tech and making sure others cannot have it to cause harm to people.
With like
Um,
very strong religious undertones to
yes.
everything that they do. Yeah.
And then we have the Ghoul, played by Walton Goggins. He was around before the bombs went off, and when they did, he became extremely irradiated to the point of being almost immortal. And he's now become a
He's a
basically.
gunslinging cowboy bounty hunter. Cool.
Mhm. And all
And,
three of these people are set on the path of finding this one guy who has multiple meanings for each one of them. Lucy has to find this guy and help deliver him to a place to find her missing father who has been kidnapped. Maximus has to find this guy to impress the Brotherhood of Steel, and Walton Goggins, the ghoul, has to do it so that he can get the bounty on him and keep buying more drugs so he doesn't go apeshit insane, otherwise known as going feral.
yeah, he
Ghouls can
turns
do that.
zombie basically, is,
Hmm.
when you don't get this little vial of drugs. But, that Ghoul character, before the war, he was a big, kinda cowboy Clint Eastwood type actor,
Hmm.
um, and then his wife worked for Vault-Tec, and he was picked up as sort of a Vault-Tec salesman and spokesperson that was used in some of the trailers and stuff to sell these vaults to people. So going into the war, he already knows a little bit about them, and through the show, we kind of explore a little bit more into it and where he spies on his wife.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of, pre-war scenes that go on throughout the show that I really didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did.
I think one thing that really sells this pre-war stuff, we've seen some pre-war stuff before. We've had notable DLC like the Battle of Anchorage that puts us through what it's like to work in the United States military in Alaska during pre-war. The beginning of Fallout 4 has a lot of pre-war stuff to it. But this show, I think, did it what I would consider the best because it encapsulates the environment incredibly well. Fallout is only as good as where you drop them in, and Los Angeles was a major like selling point and a really good part of this show. I incredibly enjoyed how they portrayed it, especially when they talk about everything that goes on in Hollywood during the end of the world. Because, oh my gosh, talking about all the sectoring, like political groups, talking about the mix between corporate and media, talking about
Where
just
was
like
that? These must have been, like, throwaway lines, because that's not I didn't catch, like, any of that.
well, they were talking a lot about how more and more Hollywood actors were being fired and like protesting as they started hating more Vault Tech incorporated stuff. They just thought that they were like fear mongering Americans. I really liked the pool party in which we see the character who voices Mr. Handy. And he's talking more and more about how the end of the world is a product and how they have a place in like selling it as everybody else does. Stuff like that that I thought was really interesting and showing how Hollywood in general would monetize the apocalypse.
Well, a lot of things that the show is kind of keying into is the idea and the theory that people in the Fallout community have had for a pretty long time, and
Hmm.
that is that just Vault Tech had, obviously they have a lot of skin in the game, that the war keeps going and then goes to a new height where everyone goes to use their vaults then, and so there's an assumption that Vault Tech was the people that kind of pushed the button in the beginning that kickstarted the whole war. And in the show, there are some things that hint towards that definitely a lot stronger. And I think this is just the first Fallout IP to almost directly say, like, hey, nudge, nudge, they did
Hmm.
that. But in all the other games, through terminal entries, through holotapes, and everything like that, we can see just people and employees talking about how Vault Tech is pretty shady. They're doing things like this that aren't exactly, morally correct. And then, of course, all the experiments and all like that, they can go into a lot more. But talking about the environment that you said, I thought visually that it was kind of um, like so the biggest thing that I hated, the big ass empty fucking desert with nothing but sand and a big ship. Shut the fuck
Mm.
up. You watched Mad Max last week. Like this is it's that's lazy. I get they want it to be like, "Oh, it's a wasteland. There's nothing around here but this stupid guy in his underwear's house who's putting sand in the water purifier."
In my mind, that felt a little bit true about the Southern California area, at least from what I've seen, because while there are areas that are close to
Oh
each
yeah.
other, notably LA is like, oh, not a walk away, but very close to places like Santa Monica, Los Angeles, or sorry, not Los Angeles, Long Beach.
Yeah, but
Um,
you're telling me over 200 years no one has went into that field and done anything? Like, okay, buddy.
yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. Like, I
no,
get
that's fair.
it is an arid and more, sandy, drier area and climate, just of the United States. But Jesus Christ, there's no sign of human, like, anything there. And if
Hmm.
that dude's fucking house is still standing, I know he didn't build that shit after the bombs fell. So if that's still standing, then why isn't fucking anything else around it there? Why is only this fucking house with the fucking blue paint still on the siding standing, but nothing else around it? Shit like that bothered me a lot. But
Mm.
in the areas that we did see, like the enclave offices, the watering hole where we saw the gulper that wasn't a gulper, the filly, all that stuff,
Mhm.
the things that they did do, I think they populated very well. They were all
Mhm.
designed incredibly well. The set looked realistic. It looked ripped straight out of the game, and there wasn't a fat man sitting on the wall and the lady goes, "Oh, do you want that? It's a fat man." And like bing, like fan service moments where there were things from the games, but it was never like a, "Hey, look at this. Look, it's from the game" kind of moment. And I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that because the show kind of respected itself in that way.
No, absolutely. I think what really sold it is I didn't think there was anything where it was super fan servicey, at least on like items or anything like that.
At
But
the
at
most, the
this,
Deathclaw skull at the very end. And like
yeah,
that's it.
I mean, that's just also just good, I think, iconography regardless, because
Yeah.
like that's just a plane to like, I guess the standard cow skull.
What's the big monster? Ooh, what's that?
um, it's incredibly impressive how almost everything in the show is like an actual game file from the games. It like almost every prop was the exact same. When you go into Vault Tech or you go into a vault in general, it's ripped incredibly well just from the game. I thought that was and super impressive. And I was really, I guess, jealous the whole time because I was like, man, somewhere that existed physically, and I wasn't there.
Somewhere that existed physically. Um, yeah, I'll agree with that. The only thing I really didn't like is, in some respects, the vault. I get it's supposed to feel, fake, fabricated reality, but it
Hmm.
felt a little too unreal at some points. Um, I
Tell
couldn't
me what you
I couldn't
think.
tell you why, I guess. I think the hallways were just too bare at certain points.
Ah.
Like, one scene I'm thinking of specifically is when the fat black guy is leaning up against a window after the campaign,
Hmm.
and, like, some other guy walks up to him in the hallway, but it's just empty. There's nothing else in that hallway but doors, and I do understand that's the environment they're in, but visually to my monkey brain, I don't want that. But when we
Mm.
get to Vault 4 later on, that's kind of fixed. But one
Oh
thing I
yeah.
wanna, talk about a little bit is that, let me reorient how I'm sitting. Um,
He put his
one thing I
pants
wanna
on.
talk. Huh?
No.
Okay.
Go.
Um, and one thing I want to talk about specifically is that the main vault that we're in, Vault 33, is where we start. It's where our main character is. And this vault is a little bit unique than anything else we've seen in the series before, in that it is linked with two other vaults. So
Hmm.
there are these three vaults, 31, 2, and 3, where they're all linked together. And Vault 33 and 32 have a sort of exchange system where they'll have, a husband or a wife from 33 marry someone in 32, and then they have kids, continues the population, blah, 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 all that. And then an overseer from 31 is always picked, and there's not really a reason why. It's just, when in doubt, pick from 31 kind of saying that they have, or
Hmm.
something like that. Um, and later on, we go to explore, and we go with these two characters exploring the Vault 32, learn something horrible happened in there. There's dead vault dwellers, and they've been dead for over 2 years. We try to get into Vault 31, eventually do kind of learn more about the experiments there, but I didn't quite understand what the experiment in those three vaults were,
Hmm.
because we did have people being cryogenically frozen from the pre-war, assuming Vault Tech people being frozen in Vault 31, and
Hmm.
then just normal people, descendants of the original Vault dwellers in 32 and 33. But what was the point of this vault
Yeah.
is thing I really never got.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a spoiler for the end, but when we're in Walton Goggins' pre-war story, we hear about this really annoying executive named Bud, and he said that one of the biggest issues facing Vault-Tec was the idea of you can't have you can't ensure that your strategy and your like executive vision is going to be brought out around centuries because eventually, you die. So one way that they sought to stop that was a program called Bud's Buds, where he would take his colleagues and his associates, his basically assistants, he would mass freeze them in Vault 31, and then on schedule, kept basically in check by the a very primitive form of Robo Brain, um, which is
Robo
a
Roomba, if you will.
yeah, it's basically just a brain put inside of a Roomba. Um, Essentially, Vault 31 serves only for executive purposes, unbeknownst to anyone else. And whenever an overseer is needed in or basically every generation, they will introduce a Vault 31 member into the population of 33 or 32 with the express understanding that eventually they will become Overseer. And they, as a member of former Vault Tech, are in charge of ensuring that these vaults do well and that the vision done by Bud continues to thrive. So it's basically just like um, that's
So
basically it.
okay, so it's our just continuing the Vault Tech direct line of people, and they just have a fodder of whatever lineage, fodder, I guess, just to mess
Yeah.
with.
It's basically just saying, hey, so forever, we are going to have people directly employed by Vault-Tec that are high up take the role as overseer to make sure nothing bad happens. This also is going to play into what we know sort of at the end of this series, that is Vault-Tec has an organizational structure that is still alive to the fact that another spoiler, they are able to drop nuclear bombs that can basically decimate part of the New California Republic, which is one of the stronger governments inside of this new wasteland.
Yeah, I wasn't like, yeah, I was listening. Through the show, we have our 3 main characters. The formatting
Mhm.
of it is instead of them all being directly connected, they do overlap at certain points, but we just kind of, through, episode 1, we'll follow A, we'll follow B, and then that'll be kinda it. We'll see a little bit of C, and that's just kind of the structure of it where we'll just see little segments of each story where someone will end up taking a back seat through it, and
Mhm.
I didn't hate that. I think it's a lot better than just, episode 1 is about Lucy, episode 2 is about the ghoul,
Yeah.
but, there was always a sense of, "Oh, I wanted more to that," like, in each interaction that I had.
I will agree. The format had me believing sort of like, oh, I really want to see what this guy's doing right now, especially Maximus. I ended up really liking the Maximus storyline. Um,
Yeah, I liked him a lot more than I thought I would. He had some
yeah,
good personality.
like he had everyone here had pretty good character growth, but I think Maximus shines because at the beginning he really is a little shit. Um,
Yeah, he's an asshole, but rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so when you know his upbringing. And then as you keep learning more and more about him, and as he sort of gets introduced to a broader world, he changes a lot. Same goes for Lucy. I think Lucy had just a very natural progression to her. Like she feels as if by the end of it, she's still a little inexperienced, but she has so much going for her and such a like promising future ahead of her to be a like full-fledged skilled wastelander.
When she left the vault, she and obviously we're just gonna spoilers for the show because we're just gonna be talking
Yeah.
about big points. But when she left the vault, she couldn't have like shot her mother that was now ghoulified at a table. That just isn't something she would have been capable of. But then in the
Mhm.
very last episode, then we see that finally happen where she puts her mother to rest, and that's just a really good example of she was freaking out about that ghoul killing the guy going feral in the beginning, but now she's putting her own mother down. How do we feel about the effects and the overall CG or lack of in the show?
Okay, so I feel as if overall I'm decently happy with the CG. I think most environments that are CG look good. I think stuff like vertebrates are done really well. There are, well, I will say, I think there's only one moment in which I thought the CG was noticeable slash bad, and that was, and we're going to agree on this. The jetpack stuff when it goes like
Oh,
haywire during episode 2 with
ugh,
the Brotherhood of Steel suit, stupid, and also just
horrible.
looks bad.
They just wanted to be Iron Man so bad. That's all they wanted this power armor suit to be, with the stupid helmet cam and the jetpacks and the fucking and the little face thing that opens up. I wanna kill
Mhm.
myself. This is stupid. They just wanted to be Iron Man. I'm gonna write
I
Todd Howard a very angry worded holotape that he's gonna get in his ass.
Oh, how did okay, I wanna go back to the power armor thing, but speaking of holotapes, how did you feel about the, I guess, larger holotape they had in this that was similar to a VHS?
Okay, because that was the kinda holotapes that they had in, like, Fallout 3, New
Mhm.
Vegas.
Okay,
So
that
that's
makes
I'm
sense.
used to it. It's just big. It's like a
Okay,
VHS to, a cassette kind of
yeah.
size difference. It's whatever.
That's fair. But going back to the Brotherhood of Steel suit, I will agree the faceplate is dumb. I would have just much preferred taking that off at times. I
And they
think
do take it off. They treat it as a helmet. It's just only when it's convenient that they open that little faceplate.
I think I like the face cam, but only because when they show the face cam inside the suit, it's the exact format that they have it in the video games. At least the same one they had in Fallout 4, where they have that exact same UI but like mirrored, so it's from his point of view. I thought that was really cute to add on.
I bet you did, but I thought it was stupid because it's just Iron Man. That's all I could think of was just as soon as I saw
Yeah,
that, it's just, "Oh, they wanted to be Tony Stark. That's great."
yeah.
Um, but there's a scene later on where, Maximus finally gets the power armor. He's running around. He kicks a rock that breaks down this house. He's just kind of showing off how powerful this armor is. But while he's doing that and jumping around, there's no weight to his armor that I
Mm,
feel. The sound, a lot of the time, there's some little metal scraping or like hitting sounds every once in a while, but overall, it is just a very bland, it is that actor in a big styrofoam suit, which practically I do understand, but they should have told the actor to, stomp a little more or something like that, because I want to feel all 12 tons, going down in his left foot when he's taking a
mhm.
step, but it doesn't. It just feels like he's on stilts.
No, I will agree with that. I think there's most of the time the power armor does feel similar but different to how it's been for a while. But at the same time, power armor has changed so much between a lot of the lore. Because like from Fallout One, it was meant to be something you can only use with skill checks. Am I correct?
Yeah, you had to be trained to use power armor. It was like a
Mhm.
military equipment thing you couldn't just jump into.
And then in Fallout 3 in New Vegas, power armor was basically just another outfit you can wear as armor in
Yeah,
your
it was a
loadout.
really good suit that you could
Mhm.
just put on like a shirt and pants separate,
And Fallout 4 finally introduced it basically as a vessel,
like an
something you had to
exoskeleton.
enter to.
Yeah.
So this is once again a huge change to the power armor where it has all of these different elements. But what I found the most interesting change was how they use power cores, where a power core, first of all, is much more rare in this setting, which I really liked.
Fusion
Um,
core. Yeah.
yeah, sorry, fusion core. Fusion cores were much more rare in this setting, which I thought was like obvious as to why. And then the fact that it completely turns off the power armor instead of how it's been in 4 and 76 where it really just makes it harder to move makes just a lot of sense. It adds a lot of conflict to that power armor. I just
Mhm.
think it was really cool.
Yeah, it makes it I mean kind of like a tomb, like almost god, like what's that really it was a really small movie, oh, Iron Man 3. Um yeah. Um, but it's really similar to that, but I like the little scene where he unlocks the power core and locks Maximus inside of the
Mhm,
armor, and then he's baking in there and sweating his ass off and everything, and then rad roaches start to, like, bite through it. Really
mhm,
great, really awesome. It's, like, a really obvious thing they coulda done, and they did it well. I think a
mhm,
lot of things in this show, they acknowledged, what was good about playing the Fallout games is that, you like big creatures, you like seeing some fucked up things, and you like experiments.
mhm,
And I think we got a good display of a little bit of everything in this show. It was only what, 8 episodes, but we
mhm.
still saw a pretty good amount.
I will agree. I guess the only thing that I was really estranged by is their version of gulpers, and you had talked about this recently. They have gulpers are present throughout the Fallout universe, but they're very different. They're more like salamanders, and they're really just big old lizards.
Yeah, in
But
Fallout 76, they were introduced as just a mutated salamander, and that's just what they
Mhm,
are. They're salamanders that are huge. And in this, they're kind of it's an axolotl essentially, that's inside of its throat is lined with human fingers. And then later on, we learn that it was developed by people in a vault, and it was made by mixing human DNA with radioactive creature DNA. So it's a man-made creature, which is why it
mhm,
has human fingers in it. But it's never really we never get a lot more other creatures in the show, I feel like, which I'm not complaining about. I think we get a
mhm.
lot more focus on the characters and the area overall, but, like, we see rad roaches, the gulper, non-feral ghouls, I get we see ferals too,
Yeah, we
but,
see
like
ferals. We saw a Yao Guai, though it
oh,
was
yeah,
never
yeah,
said
you're
that
right.
by name.
Yeah. Um, and, like, I don't know, I just
Yeah.
wanted a little bit more.
Mhm.
I
I
felt like
mean,
there was only a few moments where, Lucy really interacted with a creature from the wasteland rather than a
mhm.
person from the wasteland, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming in the next season, we'll probably get more into that.
I was expecting, I guess more robots in general. We really only faced one Mr. Handy. I was expecting super mutants, I was expecting death claws, and while I'm maybe a little sad I haven't been able to see them in live action yet, I understand why they're not there. And I get that there's so much more show that can be told. This show does explicitly set up a season two where, spoilers, the father that was kidnapped eventually gets away. We know he's a bad guy now. In fact, he's one of the people who were one of Bud's buds back in Vault Tech. Um, so now Lucy is chasing after him, more of just like a I need more answers kind of thing. Um,
Well, she doesn't
especially
know he's a bad guy until the very last episode. She gets the
yeah,
grand reveal.
yes, and as he's as what's McLean? McLean, that's his last
McLean,
name, right? As
yeah.
McLean is running away to try to not face the consequences of his actions, it takes him to a very familiar location to most Fallout fans. What's it called again?
It's New Vegas, baby. We saw New Vegas in the Fallout TV show. They didn't want to ignore Fallout New Vegas anymore. There's Sunset Sarsaparilla signs. There's NCR like trooper armor. The NCR is in this show. They're major players in it. The NCR is actually the people that killed all the ones in Lucy's vault in the beginning, and that's kind of the we followed their leader, which is what's her name, Moldover.
Moldaver, otherwise known as the Fire Mother.
Yeah, the stupid one. So Moldaver is the leader of the NCR, where we assume they're kind of the big bad guys, but then we just learn in the end that they were nuked by Vault-Tec, essentially, that destroyed this huge capital called Shady Sands that had a
Hmm.
population of like 34,000 people. It's where our characters Maximus
Yeah.
is from. And so we, in knowing that Vault-Tec did that and that this father was Vault-Tec, it immediately connects all three of our characters in that the ghoul used to work for Vault-Tec in pre-war and is trying to find his family.
Hmm.
The girl is trying to find her father and now is trying to, find him again and stop him essentially from whatever he's doing.
Yes.
And now we have Maximus in the Brotherhood of Steel who is um
Well,
trying to bring order to the wasteland, but also
mhm.
Maximus is kind of I think he's going to desert the Brotherhood
Yeah.
probably
He
in the
wanted
next
to.
yeah, but oh yeah, he didn't he just get knocked out?
So what happened was he got knocked out during the process, and when he woke up, Moldaver died by his side, so he was automatically named a knight. Um, he wanted to flee with Lucy and take to Vault 33, but as it turns out, he's going deeper and deeper into the Brotherhood of Steel, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see his relationship to the Brotherhood of Steel going forward, because I think he's going to reluctantly get more attached until it becomes a problem and he has to choose between the Brotherhood and Lucy.
I think it's not gonna be between the Brotherhood and Lucy, but it's gonna be between the Brotherhood and his friend who is now a ghoul.
Oh, yeah. Can you make my cock explode, please?
Yeah, my penis does this weird thing where it swells and pops like a pimple. It's pretty gross, but it happens to some guys, but, just not
I
all.
that was I really liked that scene. I thought it
It
was
tells you
funny.
so much about the Brotherhood and just about how Maximus grew up. It's
Yes.
so good.
I also like how Lucy like is different as a Vault Brother because she's all about like pleasantries and like I guess like um maximizing good outcome, but at the same time like the idea of like dating and um the like back and forth mystery around a dating world and sex is gone in a society that has to focus on reproduction, and Lucy portrays that incredibly well.
I mean, the beginning of the show, the whole reason that we start it is that it's Lucy's wedding day. She's gonna
Hmm.
be meeting with someone from Vault 32 and getting married, and it turns out to be Raiders, or what we later find out is the NCR, who is raiding this vault in order to get our one guy, McLean. Um, and so that's their whole culture is surrounded by not surrounded by but centered around um you know the act of reproducing and continuing the family, and like that's the whole culture in this vault and that's all they have.
Hmm. I
It's pretty
think,
interesting because like I don't
yeah.
we didn't really see any entertainment or anything like that in the vault, which I thought was kinda weird. Like, even Vault
Mhm.
4 made a point to be like, "We only have 1 foosball table, so you gotta sign up." But Vault 33 had nothing.
That is fair. Um, Man, that is fair. I guess they have a projector and they have, I guess, a bigger community element to themselves. But no, I don't remember seeing anything specifically that they use for entertainment. Vault 4 had a lot of television, they had nicer food, there
Vault
was
4
some
was
stuff.
huge.
Vault 4 was huge. I don't like how long we spent in Vault 4.
I don't hate it. I dislike the for the people that haven't watched the show, Vault 4 is this vault that's put under a hospital, and it's made so that it will take in people from the surface.
To
In
do whatever
reality, it's
experiments you
to
want.
yeah, to fuel their experiments, but then I think now the experiments are stopped technically.
Yeah,
Um,
the experimenters eventually overturned the scientists who had full control of the vault, and are now using the place for their own means, while at the same time they are trying their best to stop what the scientists have done. They were the ones who created the gulpers, and they have a ton of cryogenically frozen pregnant women who are carrying gulper children and are trying to find the best way to either humanely kill them or to try and save them.
and we see at one point that in those experiments, it was a video that we saw where the like a woman would give birth to these kids, live birth in a pool of water, and the gulpers would immediately eat the woman alive.
Hmm.
Um, and so after they overturn the scientists, they just have generations and generations of people, I guess, slowly becoming more human. Um, because the overseer of the vault says he's directly related to the gulper in that video. It's his great uncle
Hmm.
Harold. Um,
That could also be just because a great uncle means that like a woman had birth and that's the great uncle, and just like the mother's brother or something went and had him.
yeah, but the one eye kind of threw me off. I feel like he had something wrong with him. He only had one
Yeah.
eyeball.
He was definitely still a kid of experiments, but I
Yeah,
think he wasn't necessarily a gulper, just a different level of experiment.
that's fair. Now in Vault 4, in here, while our characters are healing up, Maximus and Lucy, we meet the residents and some of the remainder people of Shady Sands that were
Mhm.
there after it was bombed, and they came here, and the vault took their share of people in to help them. And was there something kind of weird that the residents did, Nolan?
Well, they were having a little ceremony,
Mhm.
and they put up these candles in the middle of the thing, and Lucy was like, "Oh, this is cute. This is like a cute little gathering."
Yeah, they're like,
And
"Oh,
then
you can join if you want." And she's like, "Oh, okay, yeah."
and then they all got fucking naked and they started praying to the Fire Mother, which ends up being a giant poster photo of Moldaver, and they're all just like not as far as rubbing nipples, but you're almost there. Um,
They're pretty close. They're on the edge.
yeah, and
But one
immediately
yeah, I don't
immediately Lucy's
understand
like something fucking weird is going on.
I don't understand how Moldaver is alive,
Yeah.
because she obviously isn't Vault Tech because she hates them, or she was Vault Tech, but then if she was and then isn't anymore, then, like, why? What happened?
Mhm.
How did she not like, how did she stop becoming Vault Tech? Where was she? Because she wasn't in Vault 31, so where the fuck was she hiding for 200 years?
Yeah. For context, Moldaver had been alive pre-war 200 years ago as a opposition leader to Vault-Tec in the Hollywood sphere, and that's how Walter Goggins knows of her for so long. And or Walton Goggins. We are given a lot of reasons why people have lasted so long. Some people are ghouls, some people are cryogenically frozen, some people are brains inside of robots, but we don't have an explicit reason why Moldaver has lasted this long. Cryogenically frozen happens to be the best example because she looks fairly young in the pre-war stuff, and she looks around that age come Shady Sinks, Shady Sands,
Ants, yeah.
Shady Sands, and now cut to current time. It does look like she's aged a little bit, and that would make sense if it was cryogenic, but the only people that we know of who were using cryogenics was Vault Tech, either in Vault 31 or in Vault 111, also Vault 4.
Yeah. Um, I don't what do you think is something that you would change about the world? What is, like, something you would make different?
About the world or just the
Yeah,
show in
and
general?
the world in the show specifically, I guess. What would you change about the environment in the Fallout TV show?
Hmm. I think I would add much more monsters. I think, hmm, if just looking at the world, I'm not sure. Maybe, hmm,
I feel like we're missing factions. Because there
really?
were factions in this, but it was
Mhm,
kind of just like they felt very separated in the
mhm.
sense that they were only ever when we were with the Brotherhood, they only maybe at the most would mention something else, like the NCR or whatever,
Or the
but
Enclave,
then
yeah.
we wouldn't see any crossover, and then we were in the vaults, and they would just mention Shady Sands, but we wouldn't see any crossover,
Yeah.
and so, like, it's just I saw all the people and all the elements in the world, but I don't see the connections between them as much, which
Well,
I feel like they wanted you to draw your own, but
mhm.
I wanted to see them interact a little bit.
So would you argue that the biggest thing isn't necessarily that they aren't showing the factions enough, but they aren't showing the conflicts in between them?
Yeah, like, I
Mhm,
mean, it's 200 years of time has passed. Obviously, these factions have interacted before. We hear about them interacting before.
mhm,
Even if it's at the most, we see, the remnant even, like, of a scuttle that the 2 had or something like that. I
mhm.
just wanted to see some sort of history between 2 factions in this wasteland aside from, yeah, there's a big crater, it was Vault-Tec, and we just don't know where
Mhm.
Vault-Tec is. It's just a name right now. And
That
so I don't feel anything from that.
I think that's fair, and I think you're right about how that's a really missed opportunity because we have most factions in here, the Enclave, the NCR, and the Brotherhood of Steel, all trying to get their hands on this scientist's head, which in his neck he has stored a pill that basically causes cold fusion.
Yeah, it's a little
Which
I don't understand how that works, but it's a little fucking piece of energy blue energy basically in his neck.
Mhm. um, all of them are seeking out it, but at the same time, the only group out of those that we know is really looking for it is the Brotherhood of Steel. We just know the NCR gets their hands on it at the end, and then there's the Brotherhood of Steel fighting, and we're given absolutely no idea how the Enclave are trying to get back their cold fusion.
The Enclave is nowhere to be found in the show. They are
Lame.
mentioned in passing at the most.
Mhm.
Like, we have, I don't know what the scientist's name is. I'm gonna call him Linus because that's what it was in Lost. So, like, our scientist Linus, he has dog meat, he's super dog, whatever. We get all connected to him, protecting the dog or whatever. We see him in the Enclave facility, hiding the cold fusion, trying to steal it and run away and all stuff like that. He does it successfully, and then we just throw him away. It's just his head. Like, there's no purpose in doing all of that. And then we don't hear anything about the Enclave after that. Like, it's cold fusion, something that's pretty huge, and now all of Los Angeles is lit up. So, like, what was where are they? I guess it's a
Mhm.
pretty hard thing to miss.
It's I don't know. I was really excited to see more Enclave. I don't have as much information on the Enclave as I would like to, but I would just really like to learn more because they've always seemed
Yeah,
like such an interesting organization. I'm like, okay, Fallout TV show, that's where I'm going to learn a lot more information.
yeah.
And no, this is going to be really confusing for someone who's getting into fucking Fallout because then it's just like, oh, well, you set this guy up literally in the second episode and it's never talked about again.
And then we don't even when we're setting it up, we don't even get any kind of like, "All right, sir, welcome to the Enclave," like, kind of thing. So it's just like, "Okay, we're in some kind of facility. There's, like, laser guns, some dogs.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay, whatever." Um,
You know what it
and so
feels like?
what?
This feels like doesn't this feel like that one super mutant plot from Fallout 4 regarding the Institute?
It does, it definitely does, yeah. Like, the Enclave in the games and everything and in the lore is a direct offshoot of the US government and
Mhm.
rather continuation of the US government after the war. and that they have just gone underground, much similar to how Vault-Tec and everything is done, and they just continued to control and do operations underground as the US government. And the Brotherhood of Steel, not knowing this, of course, kind of continues as an offshoot of the US Army, but the
Mhm.
Enclave is still kind of pulling the strings and everything from the background. But it's a really missed opportunity that we never see any of that. I mean, Fallout 76, we have things like Modus, and
Love
in
Modus.
Fallout, even in New Vegas, I mean, there's some in New Vegas. Like, it's just a really big missed opportunity. They were the main enemies in Fallout 2. Um, like, it just doesn't make sense, I guess.
Mhm. Um, we've been talking about this for a while. Before we even get close to ending, I want to make sure we talk about the soundtrack because that is, I think, one of the best lived in areas of Fallout. It's what people always end up remembering. It's
Now,
not
when
only
you're
the
saying the
original
soundtrack,
score.
are you saying the original Fallout score, or are you saying the ripped music from the 50s?
I'm going to count both because I want to talk about
Mm,
both. T-
okay.
how do you feel about both?
In the show, there was way too many moments of listen to this 50s music with some crazy shit going on in the background that's a little slower than normal. Wow, isn't that so weird? God, this is so fun, guys, right? Yippee yay! Like it dumb. Um, but I understand why they wanted to push the 50s thing with the music being such a big thing in the games, but there was no acknowledgement of the radio, or a radio station. Actually, I lied.
There
There
was.
is an acknowledgement of a radio station, yeah,
They play
but
fiddles.
yeah, it's very little, and then they only have the 50s music thing every once in a while. It just feels that's the only thing that did feel fan servicey in this show
Mm.
was those music moments. Like, in the beginning of the vault, I think that's the only place where it fit. Every other location that they started playing 50s music with some crazy shit going on didn't fit at all. No
I
reason to
don't
do it.
know.
I
For
think
me,
they had an opportunity to make some new, amazing, like, really strong, powerful music for the franchise, and all they did was reuse the shit they made in 2016 that was already a
mm,
remake of shit that they used for Fallout 3.
yeah.
Like, they didn't do anything new here, and at the most, while it sounded okay, I guess, it sounded okay in the sense that it tickled my little gamer brain, and I'm like, "Oh, that's the thing." But it wasn't anything cool. Like, to anyone that didn't play the games, it just sounded like a stupid little riff. It didn't make me
Mm.
feel anything. It was just a, "Oh, okay."
I don't know how I feel because I will agree that I wish they were more creative in definitely their original score, which a lot of it just used motifs and themes that had been throughout the games in sometimes unfitting ways. When they had a whole shot talking about the New California Republic, they kept blaring the Fallout 4 theme, which was just out of place
Makes no
because
sense.
makes no sense. I mean, it's a great theme. I really like that theme, but
Yeah,
I
the
would have done
theme's fine,
something.
but don't use it there.
Yeah.
You can use
And
it
then
somewhere else.
a large selection of the music they chose was the songs that were in Fallout 4. And I get that, like, that's maybe the best
That's their
one
most
pop
popular
culturally,
Fallout
but
right now, yeah.
I
That
would
makes
diversify it a lot. I'd use more that is fitting for the location, like in New Vegas, or I would use maybe newer songs that people have grown to love in 76. But I think despite that, I found that I loved it a lot. I get what you mean with it being fan servicey for having it randomly put in other spots. I will say that's why I liked it so much. It made me feel like I was just back in the game. This whole thing made me feel like I was just playing the video game, and I loved that about it. And the original score, while it should have been more original, I think did hit emotional points very well.
I I don't think in any point the music was very it can be emotionally powerful, but, like, physically, like, powerful. I can't remember the music ever being,
Hmm.
in any certain scene, like, where it was blaring and, whatever, big band kinda thing. But,
Hmm.
I think that if they had some moments where it was just I guess the music tied into the action a little more.
Oh
It
yeah.
was the music fit to what they were doing, and I never think that it was completely the wrong tone aside from, the 50s songs sometimes,
Hmm.
but it was just there was never a big strong where I went like, "Holy shit, this score." And that was a little disappointing because of how well we have done in the past with some other things. Like, Amazon has the ability to do really well with that. They have a big budget, and they just didn't. And I think sound, if you wanna count anything overall in this show,
Mhm,
sound, just including music and effects, just took the biggest backseat, but that's
mhm.
understandable.
I had heard that people had been, um, listening to Fallout, the whole show, with headphones on, and this has a very good, headphone system. There's also a surround sound system, but it has a very good headphone system where if you are wearing headphones, it feels as if you're much more immersed into the world. Um, that's just what I had heard.
One thing
Um,
I just remembered, the gun sounds. How do you feel about the gun sounds?
I didn't really think about the gun sounds that much. I thought it
Hmm.
blended in pretty well, at least in my opinion.
I thought they were fine, but they used the same exact one. They had one sound for the pistol, one sound for the ghoul gun, and one sound for the machine gun, and they stuck to them.
Oh,
Cause
I
boy, it was the same boom every time he shot the gun, and it never changed.
I
Mm-mm.
I thought I heard like a ting 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 for the pistols and then a foomp for the ghoul.
Yeah, the ghoul, it's a grenade launcher sound, but it's the
Yeah.
same exact grenade launcher sound, and the pistol, it's a pistol sound, but it's the same exact sound file,
Yeah.
and there's no recoil. So, besides the
Mhm.
ghoul really puts a bunch of recoil on it because you have to with how his gun sounds, but the pistols, the 10 millimeters that they use might as
Mhm.
well be Nerf blasters. They're just pointing and, like, kicking it.
Yeah.
There's no recoil on it whatsoever, which
Mm.
is more on the actors than anything, but it's just a little annoying.
But Nick, don't you remember what Twitter told you? How that's completely justified and you're an idiot?
Oh, yeah, I said that on Twitter, and someone said, "No, actually, they have an internal, recoil compensator, so, your point's stupid. Nice try." Like, 3 people responded to it immediately. They
Yeah.
got mad.
I mean, Fallout's full of gun nerds for some reason, but the
Yeah.
biggest thing the gun nerds usually do is just talk about how the huge assault rifle is stupid and would never work in real life. And my reaction to that is, hey, they had nuclear powered cars.
Yeah, that's fair. You have a gun that shoots trash.
I'm so glad the junk jet got love. There's the junk jet in I guess episode 1 and it's really fun to see just like as a little reference. And I guess junk jets in general would get a lot of love. But you know what didn't get love?
Anything else? The
Pipe
jump
pist
jet after that 30
Yeah.
seconds?
There were no pipe pistols and there were no laser rifles.
There were laser rifles, you just didn't use them.
Yeah, I didn't see any firing. None
Yeah,
of
the
them were like the
Enclave just killed
vom.
them. Yeah. I feel like they didn't want to do lasers in CG is why they didn't do that. Same
Uh,
reason why I don't think they did super mutants, because how the fuck do you do a super mutant? I can't picture that right now.
I think that I saw the hand of a super mutant in the Enclave, but I should have known that would never come back up when the Enclave never came back up.
You fool. You thought the Enclave would be in the Fallout TV show? What an idiot.
I w
Um, but overall, do we have anything else you really want to say about the show? Because I think I'm about ready to grade it.
With just understanding how I loved a lot of the characters that went through this, I was really happy with how they at first I texted Nick and saying I really didn't like the ending in confirming the rumor that Vault Tech um had like involvement in dropping the bombs. But as the story went on and it included more, I thought that was just a really great move that showed that this show does have canon and real purpose to existing. I love the atmosphere. I thought the music induced me into the world. And I'm just really excited to see what happens next. There are all these technical and story errors that we've talked about, but I still think I've really enjoyed my time doing it. It's a show that I binged and I haven't binged a show in so long. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5.
Damn. I think that I really enjoyed it. This is the hands down best video game adaptation, film or TV show that we've gotten so far.
Mhm.
That might not be a very high bar, but it's still saying something. Um, I think that they recreated everything pretty faithfully in the show, and aside from, some small performance changes and just sound design things, overall it was really well done, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I just hope that they build upon what they did correctly in the next season and they don't fuck it up. So, I'm gonna give it a 3. and I just hope that they can continue on this kind of upward path in the next season.
Now, let me ask you a question. Um,
Yeah.
do you think this show is going to be faithful to the series, or do you think they're going to be able to make season 2 in a timely fashion?
I think that it's going to be faster. I think it'll be announced halfway through this year,
Okay.
but then we're not going to see it until next year for sure. But
Okay.
I don't know. I think it'll be faster. It's Amazon still,
Yeah. They
and that's
deliver.
yeah. Amazon do deliver. The Bethesda's just getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we'll let you all think about that. And sorry for any of y'all if you were spoiled, but you really should have watched it before you uh listened to this.
came out like a week ago. You did this to yourself.
Yeah, really. Fuck you.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a little ad break, but when we come back, we're gonna talk about some movie news and some other fun stuff. So we'll see you in a little bit of a jiffy.
Only losers can hear the ad. Here at WAM, we use this podcast as an artful avenue to blissfully and peacefully vent our fiery, unbridled rage buried deep, deep down. And now you can too.
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high quality podcast right away. Record studio quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi layered backups ensure you will always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable.
If you thought about podcasting before and you realize that you need a lot of different tools and services, those days are over. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code WAM and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan.
We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story.
The headlines.
Man, that was weird. I didn't hear any kind of ad. Did you?
Um, I'm gonna be honest, man. I was kind of just like twiddling my thumbs. I'm practicing for the big competition.
Oh, the thumb twiddling contest?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have a shot this year.
I don't know, man. The nationals are pretty cutthroat, but I wish you luck.
Mm-hmm. Well, do we want to go into movie news?
I guess if we have to, yeah.
Okay. Well, too fucking bad. First comes up is video game news.
You
Um,
like those?
there has been a lot of stuff that Bethesda has been doing for Fallout in the case of this show. And one of them has been doing something they should have done a long time ago. They're officially announcing that Fallout 4 is getting a next gen update to better perform on the newest Xbox and PS systems.
It should have been happened like 2 years ago.
Yeah, should have happened a while ago. But on April 25th, they'll be on releasing it everywhere. They'll also be releasing higher formats for PC, especially if you like dual monitors or wide monitors. Um, it should be good. Don't expect it to look better. It's not getting any
It doesn't. Does it get a frame rate increase?
yes, it will increase frame rate on console and that to be completely compatible with 60 frames per second.
Okay, well that's better, but it'll still
Mhm.
look like crap.
Yeah, but that's why
That's
they
the
let you
same
do
engine.
mods.
Yeah.
Um, I'm pretty excited for that. I tried downloading Fallout 4 onto my PS5 after playing the game, and let me tell you, it wouldn't crash. Or sorry, it kept crashing every time I pressed the button.
Oh, mine works fine.
I think it's because I put in some creation club stuff, which is notably shit. Besides that, now we can get into movie news. Maggie Gyllenhaal is making a movie about Frankenstein where Christian Bale plays the monster. Um, he looks okay, but and I hope you can see it if you want to look it up online. But it almost feels as if it's like they Justice League, not sorry, if they Suicide Squad jokered Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's enough so that you can still tell it's Christian Bale.
Which is not a move you should do.
What's wrong with Christian Bale?
I love Christian Bale, but I think you should
Okay.
be embodied in the monster.
He does. It's Christian Bale. See what he did for the mechanist or the machinist? Mechanist. It's Fallout 4. Uh, the
I
machine.
I do not know what he. I mean, I understand how he's changed in roles.
That was the one where he got insanely like skinny and anorexic. Like you could see his rib cage and his
Oh
spine.
yeah,
It was for that movie.
and then he went ahead and did Vice as well, where he got really fat.
Yeah, that was immediately after getting really skinny.
He did really good in Vice. It's one of the only Adam McKay movies I enjoy.
I'm happy for you.
I mean, he did good work. He also did Step Brothers and Talladega Nights, but he also did Don't Look Up.
Oh,
um, besides that, don't worry, we have more news. Nick,
huh.
Dune Messiah got announced.
Oh,
Nick
okay.
is, Nick's not a big Dune dude.
No, I'm not. I couldn't get into it at all. I tried.
Don't worry though. Denis Villeneuve is also going to be directing a different movie called Nuclear War: A Scenario, which is
That
really
sounds
just
cool.
what it's. Yeah, it's just what it sounds like. It's just going to be okay. We're going to follow this family if nuclear war really did drop.
I'm so down. I'm ready. It'd be cool.
Yeah, that's
Or
probably
boring
going to be
as
cool.
fuck. You'll have one scene that's really cool, and the rest of it will be really boring.
Yeah, it'll just be them sort of inside of a bunker, and they'll be like, okay, well now what?
Then they play cards.
Oh yeah, what I that game was pretty fun. What was that game called?
Cards?
Well, no, don't you remember the game where you had to like spend with your
60
family in a
seconds.
shelter? Say it again.
60 seconds.
Oh yeah, that game was fun.
Yeah, you had a minute to grab as much stuff from your house and your family as you could and get into the bunker, and then you just survived like day by day with what you grabbed.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good
That was
game, pretty fun.
yeah, that was pretty good. Oh, another movie announcement. Okay, so we didn't watch the remake of Old Boy by Spike Lee because we were told it was shit.
Yeah.
Um, but don't worry, he hasn't stopped making shit remakes of Asian movies. Um, it was recently announced that Spike Lee will be making what I believe is High and Low, the a movie directed by Akira Kurosawa. Um, two castings have come out from that movie. One of them is what's his name? This is gonna sound stupid, but who's Josh Washington's father? You know, the guy from Tenet.
Never seen Tenet.
Ah, Denzel Washington.
Stupid.
I knew that's what would happen.
Oh.
Denzel Washington has been casted in this, and then also Ice Spice.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Why? Why, man?
Cuz funny.
Why? I'm so excited to see Ice Spice in a Kurosawa film.
Cuz people will see Ice Spice. I'll see Ice Spice.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'll
This
go
is
watch
how
the movie to see Ice Spice act. I think it'll be funny.
this is how we get the generations to learn about Seven Samurai.
But for some reason, I just thought of The Last Samurai when he said that. When he was
Ice
saying he
Spice
was
playing
the
Christian Bale's
last.
role.
Yeah. No, Tom Cruise.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, that would be good. That would be good. Oh
It
yeah, that
would.
is Tom Cruise. I'm stupid. Um oh, speaking of samurai, um there is a live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie being put into the works, but it's The Last Ronin.
Why?
People love The Last Ronin, to be fair. I think
We just had the animated one. Why are we having a different? Why are we having a different turtle IP?
I will be honest, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a series in which it's allowed to be discontinuous and not have to have its own shared world. I like how it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna get a shit ton of different takes on it. We'll do that forever.
Well, you can do that with any of them. You can do that with any superhero.
That is fair, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles not
We
being
just did
part of a
this, and that was
world.
good. That was successful. Why do we have to make a live action one? Look what happened last time. We had fucking MC Mikey. We don't have to do that again.
Are you saying you don't want Megan Fox playing a hot character that was supposed to be just like a reporter teenager?
MC Mikey.
What the fuck is Michael Bay doing?
Nothing. Fast and Furious, baby. I don't know.
I he I think he's still producing the Transformers
Or
movies.
Transformers. Yeah.
He did Ambulance, and we know how that went.
What the fuck is Ambulance?
Do you not remember the movie where the whole plot is just like these people rob a bank and then they escape in an ambulance and they just have to keep chasing in it, and it had Jake Gyllenhaal in it and the trailer was
Oh,
super long?
yeah. That movie happened. Oh.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that they didn't count all of the times the trailer went off in a theater as part of the box office, because that was the whole movie.
You really got everything you needed.
Yeah. That's a viewership. That's more of a viewership than how Netflix counts it.
It's good enough.
What is it? I think how Netflix counts it is like, okay, we're really just gonna see if you go 20 minutes and a couple other people go 20 minutes and that hits runtime, that's one view. And I don't think that's fair.
If we mush it together, that counts as one.
Yeah, no.
We had 60 people listen to 1 minute of Wham.
Mm-hmm. That um that's how Zack Snyder said that more people watched Rebel Moon than Barbie.
Okay. Did
Just
you see they're
fucking
making a Rebel Moon 2? It's happening?
they were always supposed to do a Rebel Moon 2. That's going to be releasing April 19th, I believe. So it should be this weekend.
It's like it's happening like soon?
Yeah, it comes out this week.
Oh, I just saw ads for it like yesterday.
It's
Dude.
they
Good.
planned on it being 2 movies, and they also planned on each one getting a director's cut as well. Why doesn't this fucking asshole just go to a studio that'll let him do it the first time? And why does he
No, no,
need a
no,
part
no. It's
1 and a
okay
part
because
2?
they told him he can do the director's cut before they said okay to the normal cut. Nolan, don't worry. They approved the director's cut before they approved the normal cut of the movie.
What the fuck?
Doesn't that make you feel better?
This asshole just loves re-releasing movies.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
And now,
It's such shitty space Nazis. It's so bad, dude.
did you say you stopped it pretty early on because of all the rape?
Yeah, the first conflict within Rebel Moon is fucking space Nazi gang rape, and not pleasant. Not really what I want to jump into my space adventure with, and
Mhm.
it was just sad and depressing, and like everything sucks. This world is horrible. This universe is bad, and it like nothing about the universe I wanted to continue watching. Like 30 minutes in, I just felt depressed, and I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
Zack Snyder having to overdo his edgy elements to sort of have a style has been killing him. And he was like, Star Wars didn't let us tell a story when we were supposed to do this for the Star Wars universe, so we're going to do it ourselves and it's going to be better. No, it doesn't seem like it was.
There are good little ideas, like there's this droid that's semi-sentient and they used to be like the soldier droids, but then the princess died and then they stopped fighting.
Oh, yeah,
Um
that's neat.
it's neat, but then that's like they just kind of fuck with it, like they just beat him up and shit. And they're just like fucking idiot. It's so bad. Don't even give Rebel Moon your time, man. Like it's not worth it at all.
That's
Holy
fair.
shit.
He also came out that he was going to try to do a director's cut for Sucker Punch, which was his first movie with Warner Brothers, or I believe his first DC movie, something of that effect. And it's really funny because a ton of like really happy, or I guess really dedicated Zack Snyder fans had been talking for years about how that's like a perfect movie and an underrated gem and shit. And now they have their god basically going and saying, yeah, I wasn't really happy with that movie at all. So now they're like, but sir, but lord,
But what do you mean?
are you been saying that I've been arguing that this piece of shit is good for 20 years for no reason?
No, no, no. Then they smashed everything they had in their room with like the posters and shit that they had up.
Which is conveniently just one small poster of Watchmen.
Yeah, it really wasn't a lot, but it meant something.
The one scene in The Incredibles, but he just basically takes down one framed photo.
Pretty much. Epic music and like a bunch of emotion and shit. He's all mad and crying and just takes one photo gingerly off the wall.
This might be our last piece of movie news. Shrek 2 recently was re-released back in theaters for, I believe, the 20th anniversary.
Mhm.
Um, and in that, it ended up outgrossing the theatrical releases of both Turning Red, Soul, and Luca, all three of which re-released in theaters this January because there was an open time slot and it never got physical release or never got theatrical releases when COVID was around.
That's so funny.
That's really funny.
That the fucking like 2009 or whatever fucking Shrek movie just absolutely bombed the brand new shit. So good.
It's weird because I didn't really see advertising for Shrek 2 or the Pixar releases, but if I was gonna guess, yeah, which one's gonna sell more, it's gonna be Shrek 2, which has a huge dedicated fan base and is seen as like one of the best sequels of all time.
Yeah, it's the good Shrek. It's literally the best of the three. Big Gingy.
Well, there's 4 of them now.
I don't want to talk about the fourth one.
So do you like the third one more than the fourth one?
Was that Rumpelstiltskin?
Rumpelstiltskin is the oh, I'm bleeding. Rumpelstiltskin is the fourth one, and I believe it's Prince Charming comes back in the third one, but now we have Justin Timberlake King Arthur.
Oh no, my favorite is Shrek 2. I wasn't actually no, I remember not liking Shrek 4 when I saw it in theaters.
I'm not the biggest fan of Shrek 4. I still think it's good, but there's a part of me that really likes Shrek the Third, and that's seen as the worst in most eyes.
I just don't like Shane Dawson in Shrek 4.
Shrek!
It's so gross.
I did not pee on my cat.
Shut the fuck up. But is that all we got for news?
Yeah, I do believe that's it. The only other thing we have is depending on release. I would say anybody in the DFW area, there's a special McKinney movie or what McKinney Film Showcase that's going to be going on at the Comedy Arena at 7 p.m. Wednesday. If it happens to have not passed that time, I would advise you to go. There's going to be a lot of fun to be had and a lot of cute little short films to be shown.
Be real, it's probably going to be past that time.
Well, then okay, well, let me refix this. If any of you fuckers didn't make it to the McKinney Film Showcase, you're fake Wham fans.
So anyway, this has been episode 35 of Wham. We reviewed the Fallout TV show. We hope you all enjoyed. This has been Wham.
And you've been whammed.
And we'll see you all next week, or this week, sometime, at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to be watching Spider-Man 1 next. That'll be a pretty soon release.
Yeah, this will come before or after, or I don't know. It'll be weird, but you'll see.
Yeah. You'll take it as you get it.